All right. Well, this is a really good football team. Coming in the Valley this week. Super excited about being back at home and another opportunity. Hard to believe this is our third home game already. But our crowd was awesome last week, and really we're gonna need them this week. To be that 12th person for us. Definitely. Know it'll be an awesome environment for a great college football matchup, and that's what you got. You got two good teams, two great programs, in a rivalry game early in the season. So this is Clemson, Florida State at its best right here for sure. This is a great football team we're getting ready to play, every sense of the word. Mike's done a great job in really building their program and putting it back together. And not only that, it's one thing to have good players. It's another thing to get them to play hard, to play together, and to play with the right character and attitude and all those type of things. And all those things jump out when you watch Florida State play. These guys really, and it starts with their quarterback. I mean, he's a guy I've been around a little bit and I've had a chance to watch. And I mean, he's a great football player, but he's a great kid. And he's a winner. He's a guy that makes everybody around him better. He's got a ton of football character and a ton of just character in general, and that kind of shines through him in every aspect of his life. So got a lot of respect for this team. Very, very experienced football team that we're getting ready to play on offense and defense. Got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football. Again, starting with their quarterback. A bunch of guys up front that have played a lot of ball. Great backfield. This is a really, really dynamic group of backs. Three is he's a load. They do a lot of things to get him the ball in the screen game, and they're a very physical group up front by nature of their scheme, with all the guard tackle pull stuff that they have and misdirection. A lot of play action, move the pocket a ton with the quarterback, get him out of the pocket. He's a great creator, huge explosive plays that have come from both his arm and his legs, and a lot of big plays come when he just creates, and so that's what makes him really, really dangerous. He can beat you in a lot of ways, a million screens. And then they've got some dynamic playmakers. I mean, obviously with Bell coming in, we've seen him up close. He's a great football player. 14, 4 is a really special talent as well. So they've got a very dynamic group with their backfield, tight end, receivers, and then the quarterback. So create a lot of challenges for sure. Huge battle and matchup there. And then flip side, defensively, they look like the Florida State teams on defense that I kind of grew up here at Clemson watching, if you will. Deep up front, bunch of big bodies, a bunch of guys that can run, sub guys in and out, physical downhill linebackers, and guys in the secondary that play with confidence and try to force the issue. So it's a physical matchup on both sides. There are going to be a lot of competitive plays on both sides. So good football team, every sense of the word, and man, we're excited about the opportunity and the challenge, and look forward to being a part of it. We'll have to play well for sure.
Any questions for Coach? Just reflecting on the Clemson-Florida State rivalry, what makes it so special?
Well, I mean, obviously, I didn't know much about it prior to coming here, other than just the Punt Ruski and Deion Sanders, the big return that he had that one year, but being a part of it, my first year was 2003, and we were coming off, we were 5-4. That was a miserable time in my coaching life right there, being 5-4, and things were not really good here, and we're not in a good spot. And now we look up and we got to play the Seminoles And I remember watching the tape going, holy moly. They were loaded. They were really, really good. And yeah, I think they were number 3 in the country. And we're 5-4. But man, we made a bunch of plays. Charlie Whitehurst played out of his mind. Our receivers made some huge plays. I remember, D. Ham and Youngblood and Aries and Tony and Dwayne Coleman and our guys that we had there. Big Louisiana back there. I mean, we had a scrappy bunch, and somehow, some way, we found a way to make enough plays and won the ball game. And honestly, if not, I'm probably not sitting here if it wasn't for that game. So that's kind of how my time started with them in a good way. And then not a lot of success, on the road. That's for sure. I think we won for the first time down there in '06. Chancey Stuckey had some big plays in that game, but I think it was Will Proctor. Is that right? Will Proctor was the first quarterback to win down there in a while. But we went on, I don't know how long. It was a long time before we won down there, and so that was a big win. And we didn't win again down there for a while. Maybe was it 16? Yeah. So I mean, it was a long time. We had some almost. When we had them, the one game down there, we led the whole game. Was that 10? And kicked like an 85 yarder to win it with 2 seconds. Never forget that. And then we had the game in 14 where had first and goal from that far, and we ended up punting. You remember that? Remember that one. And then we fumbled the ball late and then gave up the long pass on like 2nd and 23. They threw like an 80-something yard touchdown. But it was a crazy game. But so we've had a lot of battles. I mean, so I think to answer your question, you've had games like that, crazy plays, huge moments. And then flip side, we've had some big ones here. And, we won here. Obviously, 3 was a huge win, and we had a couple others. But in 9, my first year, we started out 2-3 that year. And went down there to Miami and beat Miami top 10. And we had to play Florida State. That was a crazy game. That was ironically DeAndre McDaniel going in the Hall of Fame this weekend. That was the DMAC game that'll forever. So there's just these huge plays on both sides that I think have made this a great rivalry. Obviously, them joining the ACC when they did, and Bobby Bowden, and then Tommy Bowden being here, that created, the Bowden Bowl and created even more, just, I guess, intensity or scrutiny to this game from across the country and so forth. And then obviously the players on the field created a lot of great moments over the years. And then in 11, that was a huge, huge win for us. That was the year that, we had to play the 3 ranked teams in a row. We played Auburn, played Florida State, Virginia Tech, and at that time, nobody had ever won 3 ranked games in a row in the ACC. And not sure we had much chance going into it, especially coming off a 6-win season. But we won all 3, and that was a huge game. So just a lot of big games over the years. 13, they smashed us right here in the Valley. I mean, that was one of the worst football nights of my life. I mean, we just could not get out of our own way. I mean, they were really, really good and went on and won the national championship, that year. So a lot of great moments, a lot of great battles, and then I think as we had divisions in the league for, I don't know, since 05, I mean, outside of, I know Wake went one year, and maybe BC went early in a year, but it was pretty much Clemson, Florida State. And so that game for so long came down to, if you won that game, unless you screwed it up somehow, you were probably, because now you got to lose 2, right? So I think that's what has driven a lot of it, just in my 20 years here. So, this is one of those on paper that is a really good matchup.
When they're top 5, it's obviously makes life harder on you. When they were in the ditch a few years ago? Or are you like, this is great?
No, man. Listen, it don't. Hey, this is Clemson, Florida State. None of that matters. It doesn't matter. I mean, what the record is. It doesn't matter who won last year. It doesn't matter what you ranked. This is a game that you better show up. You better show up and be ready. And you know, it's certainly great for the ACC when you have, you know, a lot of competitive balance like we have. I think our league is really good. We got a lot of good players and a bunch of great quarterbacks, and we play about every one of them. So this is just another battle along the way. It's going to be a bunch of battles ahead. But Clemson, Florida State, you can throw all that stuff out the records. I mean, just like, you know, we were 5-4 and upset the number 3 team in the country. It doesn't matter. You know, this is a game of passion. This is a game of a few plays typically every year. Yeah, there's some anomalies. There's been some on both sides where you know, Clemson's given up 1 million points and could barely move the ball. So been on both sides of it. And it really doesn't matter what you did last week or last year or whatever. This is just one of those games. They're all big. They're all the biggest game. This is the biggest game of the year because it's the one we're playing. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's the fact. And if you don't have that mindset and when you're on this side of this microphone, you're not going to be very consistent or very good. You know, you win this game, well, guess what? You go to Syracuse next week and lay an egg. Well, nobody cares, right? So every game is the biggest game of the year. But there are those games along the way that you have along your path that just, you know, got a little more juice to them. And there, you know, you get these rivalry matchups where there's a lot of familiarity and intensity with your fan bases and things like that. And this is just one of those games.
To his point, though, the fact that they're the top 5 team now and you guys aren't ranked, which is kind of weird.
Well, I mean, they've earned that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But is there a chip on the shoulder factor from your standpoint for the first time in a while, just because they're the one that's ranked and you guys aren't?
No, I mean, we ain't worried about none of the ranking stuff. I mean, it really, I mean, again, we've played 3 ball games. You know, we lost our opener on the road, and they're undefeated. And so, you know, that's just where we are. Again, you can. They don't give trophies out after 3 games. I mean, you got to play the season out. There's a lot of teams right now that are ranked that will not be ranked when the season's over. I'm pretty sure that's an accurate statement. And there's several teams, probably not a lot, but there's several teams that aren't ranked right now that they're going to finish ranked when the season's over. It's a long season. So, you know, none of that stuff matters. I mean, this is 2 good football teams that are going to battle out, and who knows what anybody is right now.
When you face a wide receiver group that looks like they could post up for Leonard Hamilton, I mean, what concerns? I mean, they got some big guys.
Yeah.
I think that are all just now there, you know, this year. But I mean, what are concerns when you face big wide receivers?
Well, I mean, it's not just having big wide receivers. It's the totality of their package of what they do. You know, I mean, they're physical up front. It's all built through trying to stay on schedule on first down through the run game, the misdirection, the boots, the nakeds, a lot of RPOs, off the counter scheme. That's what creates problems because that, you know, you can't just say, all right, we're going to stop this great receiver over here. You know, they got a great running back. They got a great dynamic quarterback who they're going to get on the edge. And so there's a lot of problems. I mean, this is just a really complete offense. They're explosive in the run and the pass. So schematically they create some problems because they create, you know, one-on-one matchups. And so, you know, it's going to be a lot of, just by name, it's going to be competitive plays. 14 is a giant. He's got a humongous catch radius. He's a very experienced guy. And then 4 he's a big, strong, dynamic player. You know, strong hand, strong runner, fast. He's a returner as well. So, you know, just elite football players create problems. But it's more than just being elite and talented players at that position. It's the package of how they put it all together, because it really challenges you from a discipline standpoint, eyes, because you got a quarterback back there that really understands what he's doing, and you know they're gonna use him through the run game and through the play action, which creates space. And again, it comes down to just some matchups where there's going to be some competitive plays. You can't just line up and play zone against these guys, as you're going to be short and they're going to run the ball down your throat. They create advantages with the quarterback, so it's like playing with 13 on 11. So you have to win your matchup. But hey, we like our guys, and it's a very similar matchup to last year, and we did not play well defensively against these guys in the first and fourth quarter. We played pretty good in the second and third quarter, but we stunk in the first and fourth quarter. We missed some tackles. If you look at their two huge plays early on, their guy was better than our guy. Number 13 and Barrett Carter. There you go. That's two great football players right there, one-on-one, and he just ran right by us, and we don't make the play. So that's football. It comes down to matchups, and they create matchups like that, and you got to win more battles than you lose.
How about health-wise? Do you anticipate Andrew and Walker being able to go this week?
We're hopeful. They're with us and working, and still say day to day, but we'll see.
So you added a new kicker?
Yeah. How about that? Y'all get more intel than I get. Y'all usually know before I know. Y'all ask me all these questions, and y'all already know the answers to the questions before y'all ask them. So y'all get all the answers. Y'all probably already know who's playing, who's not playing, but it's fun to come in here and go through the process anyway. I would miss y'all if we didn't get to do this, Qualt. Yeah, we got my man Weitzy coming back. We called him off went to the bullpen, called him off the beach. He's down in Charleston, and he's honestly we just need a little bit of maturity there, I guess would be the right word. Haven't lost any confidence in Robert Gunn at all. This kid is, man, when you say this kid is talented, you're really not doing it justice. This guy is freaky. He really is. He is a freaky talent when it comes to his ability to kick a football. And he's just a young player, a freshman that's just got to kind of work himself through the funk. And his kickoffs are amazing. He's been unbelievable there, but he's just been in a little bit of a funk. And it really started kind of the week of the Duke game. He was amazing all camp. Just in every situation. But it's everybody thinks they can do it, and it's easy. And but this is a great kid who really cares a lot. But he just sometimes you just need to catch your breath. And we've got two other guys on the roster who just haven't stepped up. They've had opportunity the past 2 weeks. They ain't got it done. They've not taken advantage of the opportunity. So the only reason Weitz is here is because I found out he was in school. I didn't even know he was in school. And so, yeah, he was pretty shocked to get a call from me on Sunday. I'd heard he was in school, and I was like, "Are you really in school?" And yeah, so he said, it's either going to be a great story or it's going to be terrible. It's not going to be anything in between. So, this is a guy. He's got a boss up in New York, probably pissed off at me because he's in school, but he's been online, living in Charleston. And the only reason he didn't come back is, for people who don't know who he is, he's not just a guy off the street. He is right now, but he was in our program for 4 years and was our backup the last 2 years, and a good backup. But we just had BT Potter. He just happened to be here at a time when we had BT Potter, and he had more eligibility, but we had this guy named Robert Gunn that he sees in practice every day too, and so it's like, well, and so he had a chance. He wanted to go, and he spent the whole spring in France, studying abroad and, hanging out at the Eiffel Tower. He's just, and had a great summer and has his life planned out. He just rented an apartment in New York. He starts his job in 2 weeks, and he's graduating with his master's in December. And he gets a call from Coach Swinney on Sunday. Hey, you want to come kick against the Knowles this weekend? He's just crazy enough to want to do it, and might be what we need right now. So, I mean, he was 7 for 8 yesterday, so he hadn't kicked the ball since April. So hopefully he'll be ready. But we got to have a change there. I mean, it's just where we are, and we'll see what happens.
So what was the distance? Will he start against Florida State?
Yeah, he'll start.
What was the distance on the 7?
I don't know. Hang on. Let's see warm-ups, okay? Let's hold that thought. He's starting today, but we got a long week of practice, and we got warm-ups. So we'll see how that goes.
Does Gunn still do kickoffs?
Oh yeah. He's got no issues there. He's just got to settle down. You know, that's kind of he's gotten to a point where and I think it's more he's just mad and he's trying so hard, you know, and he's kicking his field goals like a kickoff, and we just got to he'll work his way out of it.
What was the distance, the furthest, or did you arrange on the 7 for 8 that?
Did I arrange it?
What was the furthest he hit a field goal from?
You know, he's pretty solid from about 45 in. You know, again, he hadn't kicked since April, so you know, he didn't even have any balls. I just asked him if he kicked, and he said no. And he said, "Let me go kick a few. I'll call you and let you know if I can do it." And so he called and said, "I think I can do it." And I said, "All right, what are you going to tell your boss?" He said, "I don't know. I'm going to have to call the boss." And so I have no idea who. Appreciate the boss up in New York. Hopefully they still got a job for him in January. But I guess he's going to be paying rent for an apartment in New York for a few months. But we'll see. We're going to Syracuse next week, so maybe he can moonlight while we're up there. I don't know.
Well, like a red zone option, like closer in, and you still have Gunn.
Yeah, if we had to kick a long one, Robert. I mean, he's definitely your best option there. But we just need somebody to make some layups right now.
With Gunn, it looked to me, I'm not a kicking coach, I'll say that. The first one that he missed maybe got a little too deep, and I don't know if that's the right term, but maybe a little too far forward. On another fixable stuff.
Oh yeah. Guys, this is just mental and technical. That's all it is. I mean, it's he'll work through it, and he'll look back on this eventually and go, man, that was a crazy year, and you know, it's going to make him better. You know, there's no doubt about it. But you know, again, we got to give our guys a little something different. And again, sometimes you just need to have a catch your breath or have a different challenge. I mean, you know, those of you been around here, y'all remember Catanzaro, his freshman year. I mean, that was one of the most miserable years ever. I mean, we had 5 games that came down. We lost 6 points or less, and Murphy's Law, every game, because the way we were built that year offensively and just who we were. You know, we knew we were going to have to make some kicks, and you know, we weren't going to be a overly explosive team, but it felt like we could move the ball, and it just seemed like every game came down to a kick, and we just couldn't make a kick for save our life. And I mean, and that guy left here as the leading scorer in the history of the school and made some of the biggest kicks in our program's history, right? So, and this kid is more talented than Catanzaro, without question. And but Cat kind of worked his way through that. And I mean, again, everybody thinks they can do it. But when you go out there in front of 80-something thousand people, millions of people watching, these are young people. These aren't robots. This isn't the swing thing that hits the perfect golf ball every single time. These are real people, and so he'll work through it.